Powerplay is the newest indie-made isometric RTS game which has a bunch of cool elements aside from its land, air and naval combat. Like a second completely free 3D camera mode, simple logistics and production chains of extractors and refinement buildings, and even air units which fit on buildable airfields and yet physically increase in size once they are launched to better fit the gameplay feel. A feature I honestly can't remember ever seeing before in any RTS game. If you know some other game with this feature, please let me know it down in the comments. There are a bunch of other features hidden across the gameplay, and I will show them to you while reminding you that Powerplay will be released to early access on the 29th of July, with a 10-mission single-player campaign, a bunch of maps for up to 4 players in the Skirmish mode, map and game editor devs use themselves, and the obligatory nuke superweapon. Also, this video is sponsored, and do know there are more features that are coming in the full version of the game, and while I didn't have some features like the save and load option or graphics and keyboard shortcut options, you will have those on release day. I have played the previous demos, several missions of the single-player campaign, tutorial and a 4-player free-for-all skirmish match until I had a better grasp of the game's economy and base building, because individually these elements might look familiar from many other games, but when put together they produce a very unique gameplay style. Now let's take it from the top. This is an ore resource field, the first resource type. For it you need a mine building constructed by the HQ building. Its progress is tracked by using the right side UI bar, which actually tracks all units in recruitment and all buildings in construction. While it is possible to play this game in either one of the two camera modes, isometric and its massive max zoom level, as well as the free 3D camera mode unlocked by using the T keyboard shortcut or the UI button at the minimap. Buildings remain in the UI tracker until you pick and place them manually, and yes, you can have several buildings, even of the same type, ready for placement at the same time. Once you have a mine, there are two ways to process its resources. One is by transporting it with cargo trucks, and the other is by conveyor belts. The campaign first teaches you how to do it by cargo trucks, while the tutorial first teaches you how to do it by conveyor belts. So it is in your interest to play both in the correct order, but ultimately only the distance between the two buildings matters. These logistics and production chain mechanics have set Powerplay apart from any other indie RTS games for years during its development, and while the game went through many changes, this remains its main selling point. Cargo trucks have a limited capacity and transport ore to the processing building, which also has a limited capacity. This is upgradable through the Industry Tech 3, which I will showcase a bit later. This is probably the only RTS, aside from War Factory, that could draw in fans of Satisfactory to give RTS games a go, and that is just amazing in my view. The HQ building in Powerplay creates a limited build radius around it, forcing you to pack it up into an MCV and move it to locations of other resources like oil, rare minerals or uranium to expand the build radius and construct new processing buildings. What is interesting is that you can construct mines and oil derricks outside your build range, but not those refining buildings, meaning you can have a logistical network with resource extractors and cargo trucks instead of on-location resource processing. This gives Powerplay more depth and options on how to play. The only thing that annoyed me here was the fact that you couldn't rotate buildings before construction. It doesn't make connecting extractors to processors harder, as conveyor belts can come out of any side of these buildings, but it makes the game less believable and more, well, ugly. When it comes to the other elements I was missing, it was certainly a way to click on something and see the resource info, be it remaining resources on fields, as these do run out, or amounts processed or produced by each building. You should know buildings mostly don't extract and refine at 1:1 ratios, so there is lots of tweaking to be done, especially as you construct a research building and start upgrading the individual resource production tech trees. Each item on the industrial and military tech trees costs both resources and time to research, but you can construct multiple research buildings and armories for military research and run multiple parallel research projects. Tech tooltips don't give exact numbers, which might as well be for the best, as they just do percentage-based changes and no functional changes. Something I keep telling every dev to stop doing and think how their tech tree can change the game or units and not just do math with tech trees. I guess being programmers, most devs just fall back on math and percentage upgrades to keep things easier to calculate, but at least in Powerplay the devs could have locked bombers or advanced naval units behind tech, or change their weapon system types depending on which branch of the tech tree the player chooses to research. But on the other hand, I have to praise the devs for doing something I have yet to see more devs do in their RTS games, and that is to color code unit weapon damage and unit armor types, because all units in Powerplay have one or several weapon systems as well as armor penetration, and each one has its own weapon damage type, which comes with its unique color. The armor follows the same logic, so when you see the green biotype armor on a simple rifleman and sniper infantry unit, and you see the green color on an APC's main gun, you match those instantly and know which unit's weapon system deals most damage to which other unit's armor. Right now, there is no way to heal infantry units, but your engineers can repair damaged vehicles in the field. Since there is no unit limit and you can have quite a bit of the basic processed resource, which is steel, to buy more infantry units, the game doesn't really need healing, but it doesn't mean it wouldn't benefit from it. There are transport units like the APC and the large cargo air helicopters. Because this is a game inspired by old school classics, it has no unit abilities and its campaign characters are stylized to both reduce cost and give the game its own look. I wish they were at least voice acted, so prepare to read a lot of in-mission briefings as you play through the campaign. There is the main faction called Global Defense Alliance, while your enemies change from drug cartels to a shadowy worldwide bad guy organization, but they all use mostly the same tech and units, something that is explained by the game's lore, but doesn't make the lack of more factions and different units any better. Another thing that could have been better is the UI, which is right now bland and devoid of an artistic feel, hardly even matching the game's own theme. The icons all around could have been made in higher resolution. There is no mouse pan, but you can use WSD keys to move the camera around. One surprising feature to me was that bombers will automatically change targets if the one you sent them after was destroyed. Having a capable air force made up of such bombers, drones, jet fighters and transport helis, along with an entire navy which includes submarines and drone aircraft carriers, made playing the skirmish match far more enjoyable and let me use many different ways to defeat opponents. Some maps have more water on them, so pick those if you like to try out navies in such games. I didn't have the team option in this version, but you will have it on release up to 2v2, while once the game goes through its early access period, the dev plans to add Skirmish up to 8 players on up to 20 maps, and even a second faction and a new single-player campaign. He has many more improvements planned for that later full release, so I hope he gets to that point. Especially as multiplayer, co-op and base defense are possibilities depending on what the player base requests first. My money is on co-op or base defense, as I think this game would be a great fit for such gameplay, while I'm not sure will it have enough players to keep the multiplayer active enough. It is unfortunate to say that, but past indie RTS games have proven that multiplayer ends up being empty quite fast after release, and while some players say that that will keep the game alive longer, somehow it basically never happens. Finally, if you're interested in making maps and entire missions in Powerplay, that is what the game editor is for. You can find it in the main menu, and in it not only change the terrain, add units and buildings, but also special scripts for game states, and each and every unit if you want and know how. If you have played Powerplay before, let me know what were your thoughts and how this newest gameplay footage matches your expectations. I hope you enjoyed this preview and will consider buying the game when it launches on the 29th of July on Steam. For more new and upcoming games, check out the cards on the screen or links in the description. Thank you for watching and happy gaming!